Hello, hello. Good to be recording again after taking a few weeks of breaks with guest podcasts. I really enjoyed the last few episodes. Looks like one, two, three, four, five of incredible guests who shared their stories and expertise. And I'm also excited to spend these last 2 weeks of 2025 with you. As of this recording, you might be listening to this way beyond in the future, in which case, welcome. I also just want to say thank you once again to every single person who listens to this podcast and every single listen. I always appreciate your feedback and thoughts, so feel free to share them with me personally. You can connect with me in the link in the show notes or leave a comment below. If you're listening to this on Spotify, or I don't know if you can do that on Apple Podcasts or other podcast players. I also recently found out that I'm on Audible. Someone asked me if I was on Audible because they listen to podcasts on Audible, and I found out I was there. Sometimes you have to rebel, and that's the theme of today's episode. I had a session today with a client, and in my sessions, I like to be very open and allow my clients to say no to whatever I suggest or invite them into, and to practice their own self-efficacy and trust and decision-making with their bodies in my sessions. I say often, you don't have to do anything. The door is right there if you need to leave. Nothing is absolutely required of you. And one client, when I was suggesting doing this practice, this exercise, decided not to engage. And at the end, I checked in and they said that they felt that their body would be better served by not participating in the exercise, and they were able to really be in their body. And they said it was one of the few pleasant experiences of being in their body that they'd had in a long time. And I just praised them and celebrated them for the decision that they made and what they discovered by listening to themselves. And often in the world that we are in, especially when there are right ways and wrong ways to exercise and eat, and we get told so much information about the proper way to take care of our bodies, one of the most rebellious and powerful acts you can do for yourself in this world is to say no, and not in pure defiance, which might be what you need at some points in your life. So nothing inherently wrong with that, but not necessarily in pure defiance just for the sake of saying no, but in response to listening to your body and what it needs. In my program, the 4-H method, on the login page, if you go to go.mlroscoe.com/members only, there's a paragraph at the bottom, and it's kind of our creed or manifesto. I don't know, that sounds a little bit cultish, but it says, we rest, we say no to external pressure to look or act or be a certain way. We connect with our deepest, truest selves. We discover what we really want. We rebel and exercise in a way that feels good to our bodies, that is good for our bodies. We rebel and eat in a way that is free of guilt and shame and toxic rules, that is nourishing for our bodies. We are free in our bodies. We always come back to hope. We remember our unchanging, complete worth just as we are, and we reclaim our infinite power to choose and create our lives. We show up for ourselves and our habits. We enjoy the lives we want with happiness. We express our unique spirits with the world brightly and unapologetically with the freedom of deep health. We are heroes. And I've been reflecting on my life and my history, meeting new people and sharing my story. And as if you've listened to this podcast, you are familiar with at least parts of my story. Some episodes reveal more of it than others. And story is such a great vehicle for relaying truths and lessons and parts of ourselves. And so I realize more and more how much of a rebel I really have been in my life. I've gone against the grain in so many ways, from leaving the way that I grew up to coming out to even creating this business and creating a life that I truly want to live for myself, and I'm always in the process of doing. But that takes a willingness to go against the dominant culture sometimes. And I want to drive this home, especially with fitness and our bodies. In the field of athleticism, as I've heard from clients and seen in my own life, there is a strong pressure to, especially in some cultures, to just grin and bear it for the sake of accomplishment or the goal, whether that's going through severe weather conditions or working through injuries, even though it's not the best for your body long term. And there is such a thing as short term sacrifice sometimes for a greater good, but that can be taken, and it often is, I would say, most often taken to an extreme that is unhealthy and unhelpful. So listening to your body often might require saying no when everyone else is telling you to do something. In diet culture as well, we are told in so many ways what the right way is to eat, how we should be eating, what is healthy, and sometimes what is even considered mainstream as healthy is not always best for your body. There are stories of people I've heard who, followed a specific diet or ate a certain way, and even though their bodies were obviously rejecting it and not thriving, they would continue. I myself am one of them. They would continue in this healthy, quote unquote, healthy way of eating because that's what they felt that they were supposed to do, or what we feel like we're supposed to do. And it takes so much courage and self-trust to know what is right for you, to advocate for it, and to say no. Even people, and this is maybe one of the populations I admire the most, people who are in larger bodies, who experience more shame and discrimination because of the size of their bodies, and told that they're eating too much or they're lazy or they're not exercising enough, and they still advocate for their bodies. I admire that so much, because you can never tell someone's health just by looking at them. You never know what is happening behind the scenes, and having heard lots of stories from people, it's often the people who are trying the hardest who struggle the most with their bodies because of the culture that we live in. And that is just like, it's fucked up. It sucks. And I believe that change is possible. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing this work. But so many times we need to say no to our work culture, our fitness culture, the cultures that we grow up in, for the sake of doing what is best for our bodies and for ourselves. And this can easily become, us against them. And that might be a good starting point. There might be some anger and rage, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I found that in my life, and maybe it's just my nature, I tend to be more of a peacemaker. I'll do what I want, but I'll do it in a kind and peaceful and kind of flowy way. And maybe that's not for everyone, but when we think of the nature of the universe, we are all one, we are all whole. And when we take care of ourselves, we're taking care of others as well in the big picture. So it doesn't have to be necessarily an us versus them. I talk a lot about toxic fitness culture and diet culture, and I want to separate that culture from individuals because I don't think that there are necessarily inherently shitty people. I think there are shitty beliefs. Some people have really, really shitty beliefs, and we get to choose our beliefs. But when we change the locus from a battle or us versus them and shift that focus to prioritizing listening to ourselves, we're able to both nurture ourselves and know that in that nurturing of ourselves, we're also nurturing the world and the earth. I've been listening to this, I think it's called Radical Riches Affirmation episode by Samantha Garcia, Sam Garcia, with Business Alchemy. And she talks about money a lot and how when you are thriving and you're allowed to thrive, you're also helping the world to thrive. So it's not that you taking care of yourself is bad for the world. Ultimately, it's the best thing that you can do for the people in your lives, your loved ones, and for the world that you live in and beyond. And the more that we listen to ourselves, the more that we choose ourselves, the better changes, positive changes we create in the world. And this is not just esoteric, big ideas. These are small actions that we take. Some of those actions might be saying no to an offer that doesn't feel alive to you. That might be skipping a workout, even though you feel maybe a little bad about it because you need to prioritize rest. That might be choosing to eat something that's less than ideal or perfect because your body needs fuel in that moment. That might be sleeping earlier, sleeping in, even though you have a long to-do list. And the more that we take care of ourselves, the more that we operate from our bodies rather than, oh, my body is working against me, or my body is broken, or my body won't cooperate in the way that I want. The more we're able to live in alignment with our spirits, the more that we're able to be companions with our bodies in this world. And again, it does not have to be us versus them. It can be a peaceful prioritizing of yourself that ripples out into the other spheres of your life. And this is kind of encapsulated in this term embodiment, being in your body, with your body, working with your body as an ally, as your home in this life, as your friend, as your guide. And it is a practice. It's something that you choose over and over and over again, day by day. And the more you practice it, the richer it gets. And this is really a huge element of the work that I do. So even in my programs like the 24-hour health reset, the 30-day radical renewal, and especially the 4-H method, and really just everything that I do, it kind of bleeds into the fabric of what I do. I'm asking you really to be a rebel. I'm asking you to choose listening to your body and choose what is right for you, what is good for you ultimately, rather than following what I say you should do, or what any other health professional says you should do, or what your parents say you should do, or what your cultures say you should do, or what diet culture or fitness culture says you should do. And that can be an extremely scary thing because you're leaving some measure of safety, you're leaving some measure of familiarity and comfort to discover a new world that you might even be more afraid of than anything else, which is listening to your body or being in your body. It can be a scary experience, especially if you have experienced trauma in your body. If you've been told in multiple ways through different gender or racial or other identities that there's something wrong or different about you. It can be really scary, but freedom lies in that place of venturing out and saying, I'm going to do this thing where I start checking in with my body, where I start to feel more comfortable just being in my body, where I am attentive to how my body is responding to different movements, to different foods, to different ways of living and different practices. And the more you do that over time in the smallest ways, the more you rebel and the more you can express your unique self and enjoy the life that you really, really want. And sometimes what we want and what we need does align with a bigger culture, and that can feel pleasing in some ways. If you have the privilege of being in a smaller body just naturally with genetics, that is exactly an example of what I'm talking about here. You might feel better in your body because you are accepted by the culture, which is why I admire people who, despite anti-fatness, can embody being in a larger body and be at home in it. And that is what we need more of in the world. We need more people who are comfortable and safe and in their bodies. In early December, I did a training with Somatic Experiencing International and worked with some incredible people around the country and the world. And something that I immediately noticed in this group, especially through the leaders, the faculty leaders and the assistants, was how embodied they were. And you can just sense it. There's an immediate, even online, there's an immediate relaxation in your body. There's an immediate slowing down. There's an immediate sense of comfort, at least for me. Some people might feel more uncomfortable with those things, depending on where you're coming from. But what this world really needs more of is embodied people choosing themselves, rebelling against culture when necessary for the sake of listening to and prioritizing themselves and expressing their unique spirits with the world. There's a quote, and I'm not going to look it up right now, so I might butcher it, but I don't even know who it's from. But it says something like, and you can let me know. I can search it up later on. What we need more of is people who are alive. I think it was a writer who said it, an author. The world doesn't need more perfect people. We need more people who are alive and doing what makes them feel most alive. And that's really what health is. It's a vehicle for you to enjoy your life more and express your unique purpose and values and self with the world, because we honestly can't operate at our best when we're not taking care of ourselves first. So this whole episode is an encouragement to you to be a little bit rebellious, to say no when it is for the sake of listening to your body, to be willing to venture into a bigger, brighter, more exciting, peaceful, joyful world of being in your body. And this is coming from someone who has experienced trauma, who spent so much of her life not embodied and not in her body. And it's been a process. And I hope that if you are younger and you're listening to this, no matter how old you are, but if you are younger, and by that I mean like, teens, 20s, and you can get this, like living more of your life embodied is such a special gift, and I wish that for you. But it's never too late to start, no matter how old you are. No matter how old you are. So that is my challenge and invitation to you. And like I do with my clients, You are welcome to say no. You're welcome to walk out the door. You're welcome to choose what feels right for you. And sometimes we um, need some support in recognizing what is right for us. But do you want to be a rebel with me? Do you want to rebel against mainstream cultures that are fixed on fixing us and extracting our energy for a select few? Are you willing to venture into the world of what it's like to be more in your body, even if you've experienced pain and illness and trauma and discrimination? That is my beautiful, brave invitation for you. And if you'd like to do that, come into my world, try one of the programs that I offer for all of December. I am giving 25% off for anyone who identifies as LGBTQIA plus and or people of color. I want to give back a little bit more to my community. You can use the coupon code 2025 when checking out and just get a little extra value for your investment. And if you are not identified with one of those groups and you do purchase one of my programs, 25% of your investment will go to the Trevor Project. So that's a little extra gift from me to you. I'm thinking at the end of the year, what a way to finish the year, what a way to start a new year, giving yourself the gift of rebellion, giving yourself the gift of embodiment and learning how to do that with both education based on science and support. And what I think is the most important when we are going through change is connection with others. That can make all the difference because you can know all this stuff in your head. You can see all the shittiness in the world, but really connecting it and investing in yourself and doing it with others is so powerful and so priceless. And this is something I've learned from getting my own coaching and investing so much into getting support in different areas of my life. You are so loved, you are so worthy, and you are so powerful, and you deserve and can have complete joy, peace, and freedom with food, exercise, and your body. I can't wait to see what lies ahead for you when you choose to rebel and enter the world of being at home in your body and creating your own unique, healthy hero journey.